Hello everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. I'm really excited to be doing episode 2 today. We only have a limited amount of time, so I'm really going to try to roll this out. It's not super fun content, but I really think it's important for us to go into. So again, thank you so much. If you tuned into my last episode and you liked and subscribed, you definitely made my day. If you dropped a comment, you made my entire week. It's really why I'm doing this, so thank you so much. If you didn't see the last video that I posted, then the link is going to be in the description below. Also at the end, I'm going to try to link it. I'm pretty sure I can figure it out so that it kind of pops up right here. You'll see it there. And the other videos eventually when I make more than one or two. So that's really exciting. I'm glad to be here and I'm happy for whoever is watching it. Thank you so much again. My name is Miss Metaverse, or you can call me Josie. It is really up to you. After I posted the last video, I realized, hey, that lighting is not very great. It didn't really sit well with me, and I wasn't really a huge fan of the lighting and the video quality. So I just wanted to let you guys know I did notice that, and I am going to fix it, but I didn't fix it today because my priority stands in getting this content out to you girls in a timely fashion. So I really just want to get into it. Last video, I did make a statement and I said to you, I'm going to come in next video. I'm going to try to post tonight or tomorrow, and I'm going to try to tell you all about like 5 different things, which is super crazy. I said I was going to do fiat currency, cryptocurrency, NFTs. I think I said the blockchain, basic explanation of that, and then also the metaverse, which is like totally preposterous that I thought I was going to explain all of that in one video. Never mind even do it the same day or even the very next day, because it does require a lot of research to give you guys this really good, like, thorough content. So today, we're just going to do fiat currency, and we're going to dive into it super deep because it's super boring. So I just want to rush through it and get it done. And, it's money. So we really have to understand it. This channel is all about making money. It's money, 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 money. And this is kind of like how money started. So we're just going to get through this eye rolling content and on to the good stuff and making money soon, girls. So thank you again for tuning in. I will let you know that I do have some notes here, because this is not just like in the back of my head. So if you catch me looking at the screen or whatever, I'm sorry about that, but I'm not a robot girl. Okay, so I find a really good way to understand a concept or something is to dive into the origin of the word. So the origin of fiat is spelled F-I-A-T, and fiat is not the Italian car. Fiat is, so the word fiat is derived from Latin, and it means let it be done. You may have also heard phrase, probably not, but you might have heard a phrase by royal fiat. So that just means when the king or queen decides to do something, when they're in power and they decide to do something, it's done by royal fiat. How this relates to money is it just means essentially that if we're going to call it fiat money, then obviously it's decreed by the value is decreed by by those in charge. So now, a long time ago, obviously, I don't know if you guys have really thought about this. It's kind of funny to think about, but a long time ago, you used to be able to go and take your actual physical dollar bills and go into a bank and be like, hey, I want to swap these for gold. And they'd say, well, you have $10 bills. Here's a nugget of gold. And now if you did that today, you'd definitely be laughed at. And why is that? Why can't you do that anymore? You can't do that anymore because in 1973, the government decoupled the value of gold from the value of the dollar. So that means that the dollar is no longer backed by any physical finite matter. It's just only backed by the fiat. So it's backed by the word of the government and the power that the people put in the word of the government, essentially. So because it isn't backed by any precious metal or anything physical, the government actually has the ability to create more money if it wants to, right? And so we all know, the Federal Reserve, we hear these words being thrown around and whatnot, and, the government's in debt, blah, 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 Canada is this, that, whatever. And, kind of just like goes in one ear out the other. But here's what we're talking about. We're just going to get through it. So that's good. The government can print more money and give money to its people if it needs to and if it decides to. So when it does decide to do this procedure to create more money and to distribute it or whatever, it's called a stimulus plan. And a stimulus plan can be done for like an assortment of reasons. Wars, relief funds, bailouts, like so many reasons the government decides to print or create its own money digitally. Okay, so this is called, like I said, it's called a stimulus plan. So that's all good and dandy. But the bad news is that when the government decides to create excessive amounts of money, this can obviously negatively affect the economy. So when this pump of money is created and then pushed into the financial ecosystem of that country, it just means that there's more and more money chasing fewer and fewer goods and services, respectively. This essentially that's what inflation is. So when inflation occurs, that's when the value of the dollar is decreased. So it plummets a little bit, or not plummets, rather plummeting. When the value of the dollar plummets, that is called hyperinflation. So when inflation keeps occurring, then it turns into hyperinflation, and hyperinflation is when the value of the dollar just completely drops off a cliff, and that is super drastic outcomes and really bad for that country. Obviously, it's happened before. We don't really know, it's hard to say, but anyway, so while we're discussing all this, I just wanted to bring up a side fact that I came across while I was doing my research. So among many other things that the government does these stimulus plans for, one of them is obviously the COVID relief, the pandemic relief fund. So in the United States, there was a 1.9 billion, sorry, my bad, $1.9 trillion stimulus relief fund that the government, they created that money for their people. And in Canada, we had $100 billion. So in the United States, it was $1.9 trillion, and in Canada was $100 billion. So we created that money with the hopes that our economy will be able to absorb it in the long run, and that if we didn't create that money, that we probably would be worse off without it. That's what the government kind of sticks to, and that's what they're saying. But at the end of the day, we did create that money, and something's going to happen, obviously, one day. So also, fun fact on top of that, one little icing on the cake, that is the biggest stimulus package that Canada has ever created, and even bigger than the one that they did for World War II. So that's super crazy. This was and continues to help people for sure, but we still have to wonder, where's this money coming from, right? Like, we can make it and it's great and people can now buy groceries and that's wonderful, but where is this money actually coming from, and how does the government actually create it? So super fun content we're going over right now. To explain this, I'm going to explain a term, expansionary policies. So the government has something called expansionary policies, which are made possible first because the government has decoupled the value of the dollar with the value of gold. So because the value of the dollar is not fixed to any finite physical matter, they can actually just print more of it and make more of it if they want to. If it was connected to a physical or finite matter like it was before 1973, like it was with gold, then obviously the government couldn't just say, oh, we have more of it, because they'd have to actually have more gold. So this is all made possible because the government has decoupled the value in 1973. So when they're making all this money, I mean, like I said before, it's debatably good for the economy because it saves us in the short term, but it does create long-term deficits. Their financial plan does say that they are able to, the economy is going to be able to absorb that deficit in due time, but it is debatable. So how do they do it? So the government has a few ways of creating money, and the main way that they do, which I'm going to explain today, is when it's called bonds. So the government creates bonds, and what a bond is essentially just a document so it's created when an institution like a bank says to the government, okay, we're going to lend you a bunch of money, and then the government says, okay, well, we're going to pay it back in this time limit for this amount of interest. And the interest and the time limit, are timelines for repayment, are kind of dictated depending on the country. But interest, yeah, so in the United States, for example, because this is most of the information I can find, is kind of more about the United States, and we kind of follow lead anyway, so it's pretty similar, Canada and the States. In the United States, the Treasury Department sells the issued bonds to auctions every year throughout the year. And like I said before, in most circumstances, this deficit can be absorbed by the economy. But what happens when it's like trillions and trillions and billions of dollars is it's a little bit different, and it's not as simple. It's a little bit more complicated. So that's where things start to get a little bit controversial. The Federal Reserve, known as Fed, I'm going to reference probably not very often, hopefully, but anyway, when I do talk about the Federal Reserve, I will just call it Fed. So the Fed, in theory, is an independent institution. Its main function is to promote maximum employment, stable prices, and manage long-term interest rates of the government's deficit. However, when there are excessive amounts of bonds being created, then the Fed actually acts as a buyer as well. So then the Fed buys up all these bonds from the government, but they can't legally buy them from the government. So there's a law that says they can't buy them directly from the government, but they can buy them at open, what is it called? Open source. Let's find it here. Okay, so they can be bought from primary dealers. They have to be bought on open market operations. So the government can't buy them directly from that. But anyway, so since legislation does not allow for the Fed to buy bonds directly from the government, it has to buy the bonds on open market operations. So it can be bought from primary dealers, so all the big banks and brokers, like exactly like what we said before. So what happens is, for example, if the Fed buys $1 billion, $1 billion worth of bonds from these institutions, then it injects that exact same amount of money into circulation, money that didn't even exist before the Fed bought these bonds. So it also has to pay profits to the Treasury. Unlike any other bondholder, most bondholders don't ever have to pay their profits to the Treasury, but obviously the government's bondholders do. So they have to pay their profit to the Treasury, and the Treasury has to pay interest on these bonds. So all this ends up just being profit for the government, and that goes right back into the government. So it's this funny little like loop thing. These tactics, a lot of people consider them loopholes in the government to just continually create money. But I mean, it's up to you. You can look up more details about it. That's my like little gist of it. But in summary, I mean, that's like the basic information. And what makes this money reliable? It's like, okay, well, we have it. It's not dropping yet. It's because what makes it so reliable is also what makes it so unreliable. And it's really kind of like a win-lose-win situation. It's a tough one, but anyways, like the likeliness of the country going into like hyperinflation and the dollar crashing isn't likely, I don't think, right now. There was obviously the financial crisis a while back that happened in the States and everything, but I mean, it doesn't seem like it's going to happen. The government does seem like they are able to absorb the deficit that they're creating in due time, even though it's an absolute insane amount of deficit. It does seem that they're able to kind of absorb that reasonably in due time. But what my main reason for bringing this up is just I want you to understand what money is, right? The money that you have in your pocket right now or in your bank or whatever. If you're not into crypto and you don't have any other money other than fiat money, even if you don't want to invest in crypto, I think you should know. It's interesting, I guess, kind of, sort of, a little bit. But, basically don't put all your eggs in one basket, right? When we get into cryptocurrency and I get to talk about the fun stuff in a couple videos going forward, I'm going to talk about the importance of diversifying your portfolio. And diversifying your portfolio just means that you're going to not have all your eggs in one basket. You're going to have money in a couple different things. And so I think that's why it's important for you to know this, so that you can get some money in some different stuff and have all sorts of different assets in your wallet, girl, because we want to get that money. Obviously this, and also the volatility of the cryptocurrency market is how we're going to make money. So the stability of the fiat currency market isn't, it's too stable right now for us to like make a bunch of money off of it. Cause like, how could we trade $1 for $1? You'd never make profit. So the volatility that is of the, cryptocurrency market is where we're going to make our money. So the next video I want to, 5%. Okay, we're good. My battery is running low. Okay. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments below. Hit me up on Instagram. My contact information is here. I haven't built the Discord or the Patreon yet, but I'm on it, girls. I swear to gosh. In the next video, like I said, we're just going to do one thing at a time. I'm going to do cryptocurrency next. And then after that, I'm pretty sure in no specific order. I'm not 100% sure. It depends on how my research goes. But so cryptocurrency next video. And then the other one, cryptocurrency and how it aims to solve the issues, both real and potential of fiat currency. And then we're gonna do NFTs, obviously the blockchain, the metaverse, and then we're gonna really get into trading and analyzing charts and stuff like that. So it's gonna get fun, and we're gonna start getting your money into some stuff and watching your portfolio grow and your wallets get bigger and bigger and bigger, and then we can buy more stuff and have more fun and do all the things we want to do, girls. So thank you again so very much for joining in with me. Sorry about the rushed video. We're limited time, and this just really, I don't want to do it over and over again. This isn't the funnest content, so it's done and it's out there, and we're going to move forward to some better stuff next week. All right, guys, thanks again.